Hello YouTube, it's Sign here with Hobbies and Man once again, and today we're going to be doing another review of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like as always, we're not going to be looking at the whole episode, we're just going to be looking at the stuff that I liked and some of the stuff that I disliked. And generally, I do have an opinion about this episode, and it's not the best opinion, but I do kind of want to talk about the process I went through, because the first time I watched the episode, I quite liked it. Then the day after, I thought about it, I didn't really like some parts. And then I haven't really watched it again. I do need to go back and do so at some point. But I just haven't felt the desire to do so, because after a couple days, I kind of feel that it really hasn't been that great. Like, just thinking about the episode, I gotta say that I don't really like it that much. There's some really great parts. And there's also a lot of parts that I just thought were stupid. And not stupid in the kind of like usual Star Wars sense, that are just supposed to be kind of funny, or that just have to occur so that we can get through the story. But they're kind of like okay. Most of this felt really bad in comparison to other moments in Star Wars. So I don't know. Let's talk about the positives first. I like the Bacta. However, I didn't really like how they used it, but I like that he had a moment and he was connecting with Anakin, or at least it looked like he was connecting with Anakin, and then he had to snap out of it and came out of the Bacta because he kind of couldn't deal with it. That's what it kind of looked like to me. And so he wanted to get to Leia really quickly. I liked the people of the path, because I thought it was interesting to see the very, very beginnings of the rebellion before we get to see the early rebellion in Andor. I thought that was good. However, Roken was an interesting character that I didn't really love because of the way he moved through his like character realizations too quickly. However, I felt that he was super well developed in like 2 sentences, where Reva has not been developed at all in 4 episodes, and that kind of was good for Roken, but it kind of bothered me and kind of built up to the issue that I had with Reva, which is the majority of the issues I had with this story. The whole thing into getting into the fortress was awesome. I liked that a lot. I thought it was stupid that they said no one had done it, because clearly someone had. And I didn't even play the video game, and I know this. I'm pretty sure Cal Kestis managed to get into the fortress 5 years before the beginning of this of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he should have. It could have been a really easy way to bring him in, and that was a little bit disappointing. Then the stuff in the fortress was generally pretty good. I liked a lot of the scenes with Obi-Wan. Basically, everything that had Obi-Wan by himself in it was good. Most of the scenes with Tala were also really good. I liked her as a character a lot. But the scenes with Reva and Leia, I did not like. Some of them were like not horrible. Like the little quip that Leia has was pretty funny, where she's like, "Is this a staring contest?" I thought that was cute. However, it just makes Reva seem very incompetent. And I don't like that because Reva is supposed to be like this really good character, right? That's what everyone seems to think is being implied here, that Reva is like the best Inquisitor, even though she has very unorthodox methods compared to everyone else. And she's so far, ahead of all of the other Inquisitors, that her mind probing Leia and then not being able to succeed, and then not realizing that Leia is force sensitive was like really stupid. But they wrote themselves into a corner there, because obviously you can't kill Leia if she has to be in the next movie 10 years from the timeline of this show, right? So I don't know. Generally, the problem with Reva and Leia wasn't necessarily that the scene happened. It was that the scene repeated over and over and over again. Like, I'm pretty sure there was like 5 Reva interrogation scenes, and only 2 of them were meaningful. They were supposed to provide some development for Reva, I guess, but we didn't really learn anything about her. We knew that she's angry, we learned that she had a droid as a kid, and that's it. And that was like 20 minutes of the episode, so I don't know why that was there. The fortress was cool, but it was kind of stupid that, one single gunshot managed to cause issues with the water pressure. Like, you would think that it would be reinforced a lot, like that glass underneath the water in an ocean planet would be very well reinforced. It would have multiple layers. It'd be very large and strong. It would have, anti-laser coating or something like that. And it didn't. However, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a reference to the video game that they referenced the whole episode, but couldn't bring Cal Kestis into the show for, which is kind of, I don't know, not great. And I like the ending. I didn't like the trench coat thing where Leia was hiding in this trench coat. I think that was really stupid. It was kind of funny and cute, but it was really dumb. Like, he could have carried her on his chest and that would have worked better. Or, maybe he could have just done something else. Like, I don't know, putting her and making her look like some tumor that he had on his leg doesn't really work. I don't know. It sounds pretty stupid. Maybe they could have hidden her somewhere and taken her out like they were going somewhere. Like, I don't know. It sounds really stupid. And I don't know how else they could have done it, but I just know that the way they did it with the stupid trench coat was not good. What else did I not like? Okay, so there's something that I wanted from this episode of the show that I didn't get. And that was Clone Wars flashbacks. There's no reason to have Hayden Christensen back in the show if you're not going to do that. Like, I don't understand what the hell the point of having Hayden Christensen in the show is if you're only going to give him a 2-second shot far away in the distance, or have him in the Bacta tank. Like, you could have anyone in the Bacta tank. It doesn't have to actually be Hayden Christensen, because you can't actually see that it's him under all of the prosthetic makeup that makes him look like, a ball sack, right? So there was no reason for him to be there unless there's going to be a flashback or you're going to physically see his face. And the fact that it hasn't happened yet bothers me, especially after the fact that we had a really awesome way to make it happen. Obi-Wan could have been in the Bacta tank, the same way Boba Fett did, and have these flashbacks while he was healing the same way Boba Fett did, and it would have worked really great, because in this case, you could have Obi-Wan and Anakin connecting through the Force, having flashbacks together and seeing each other during the Clone Wars, or you could have had Obi-Wan doing it by himself and trying to understand Anakin, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure it was one of the big things that was being told was going to be part of the show, which was Obi-Wan going through all of his understanding of Anakin, trying to understand what went wrong, what he did in order to be able to defeat them. We haven't seen that yet. And there hasn't really been too much meditation about his life from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, we haven't seen that. And it's really disappointing. Mostly has been the Go Find Leia show. And although I really like the actress and the way that Leia is written, I think that it's not really serving the purpose of Obi-Wan. Like, it doesn't bother me necessarily, but I don't love it. I also don't really like Reva at all. I don't have an issue with the actress. I don't think, anything bad about the actress. And the character itself, like introducing a character like this into the show is not a problem. The problem is that there hasn't been anything meaningful about this character. Like Roken, Tala, what else? There was another character. Haja. All of these characters have been in the show way less than Reva and have been a lot more interesting a lot quicker. And nothing about Reva has been interesting. She doesn't mesh with the other bad guys in the show. She doesn't come off as a meaningful character. We don't know if she's a Jedi. We don't know if she was not a Jedi. We don't know anything about her. And it's really bothersome. It just reminds me of Rey, and I don't really like that at all because Rey is not a well-written character either. And I don't know, I'm really upset with it in like the sense that like I watch the show, in every part that Reva's in I don't really care about, but I'm not really upset as in like, oh, my life is ruined because of this. So I don't know, take that how you will. I don't like the character. I think every other character has been pretty good. Even like the stupid mole guy was interesting because he was a big important piece of world building, which is the fact that sometimes people do like the Empire, which is one of the things that the Clone Wars also managed to do really well. Sometimes people do want to be separatists, even if the separatists were generally the bad guys in the narrative of Star Wars. There were still people that were good there, right? And that directly connected to the beginning of the third movie, where it says there's heroes on both sides. But Reva isn't really showing us anything meaningful, even if all of the other characters that have been in the show have been at least somewhat interesting. I also want to talk about things that are related to the show, but not necessarily about the show. I saw there was an interview where the writer of the show didn't know that Obi-Wan knew that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker. I'm pretty upset about that because it sounds really incompetent. Like, why would you have a guy that doesn't know that piece of information that every fan ever knows be the guy writing the show about those two characters, right? That sounds really shitty. Like, it's pretty concerning, right? Like, you wouldn't let someone that doesn't know anything about Batman write a Batman show, right? Like, so why is this happening with Star Wars? The other thing is that, you know, there's a lot of people that seem to be upset at Star Wars Theory for something. Now, I don't really watch Star Wars Theory that much, so I don't really have any skin in the game. I'm not a big fan of his or anything. But I saw some of the content, some of the things that they were complaining about him saying, which is that, you know, you shouldn't be happy about just getting Star Wars and that Star Wars should be good and perfect. Now, I don't necessarily agree with him on that point. However, he's not entirely wrong. I mean, Star Wars, this show, specifically Obi-Wan Kenobi, isn't really that great. Like, the first episode was good. The third episode was mostly good. Half of this episode was okay. The second episode wasn't really great at all. Like, I don't know. I think it's fair to say this show is not that good, and it's not great because everyone has had hype for this show. Obi-Wan Kenobi is like the character that everyone likes. No one has an issue with him. He is also the direct opposition of Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is the one thing that Disney has managed to make correct anytime they go into the prequels or into the original trilogy. Darth Vader is the constant thing that they have done well, and they still manage to do so in this show, but I feel like they're really letting every other character like kind of weaken as an individual. Like, it's been 4 episodes of the show, and I haven't seen the transition from defeated Obi-Wan to triumphant, it's time to go to work Obi-Wan from A New Hope, and I'm kind of upset about that. And I'm kind of upset that people aren't really taking this well. Like, I don't know. I don't really care too much about Star Wars Theory's opinion on it. Like, him as an individual, he's like a hyper fan. So it's not fair to think that he speaks for everyone or to be like upset about his specific take, because he's not like a hateful person. He just cares about Star Wars, right? So I don't know. But I don't necessarily agree with him. I just don't disagree with him either. I think that there's a lot of expectations and a lot of like things about the show that needed to go a certain way, especially after Deborah Chow and all of the people that were making, you know, the rounds talking about the show were making it seem like the greatest piece of media ever. And the fact that it hasn't really managed to do that at all in any certain way is kind of upsetting, because they built up these expectations. They made everyone feel like they were going to have a great time. And it hasn't really been the case. I mean, out of 4 episodes, 3 of which were good length, and the last one, this fourth one, being pretty short, have not been great. I mean, the show is 2 for 4, maybe, at best. And I don't think it's great. I don't think it's awesome. I don't think that Disney is doing that good of a job with this. And it kind of makes me sad because this was the show I was most excited about. I mean, The Mandalorian still wins out. Like, I think The Mandalorian is probably my favorite piece of Star Wars media of the Disney era. And I really wanted it to be Obi-Wan. And I'm kind of disappointed that it's not. But there's still 2 more episodes, so we still have time to see if it manages to bounce back. But I don't know if it can, because it hasn't been great. It's been kind of like, it started really good, and then it dipped, and then it kind of rose up again, and then it just dipped again. And I'm kind of upset. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought. And, yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.